Hi Goucher, it's Monica from the Student Counseling Center. I hope everyone is taking care of themselves, checking in with friends and family, and managing to continue some sort of routine as we continue to adjust to the changes put in place to help slow the spread of COVID-19. Our office has created this YouTube channel to provide helpful coping strategies, offer tips to successfully navigate the current period of adjustment, and just support your overall well-being. Today, I wanted to share with you a handy model of the brain that will focus on how stress impacts our functioning, and particularly as it pertains to learning and academics. This is based on the work of Dan Siegel, a researcher who really beautifully translates his expertise in neuroscience into terms that can be easily understood. And so let me show you the basics of that model and really explain its portability. While I want to acknowledge that it's a very simplistic model of our sophisticated brain function, it can help give us a sense of what's going on and better understand our responses to stress. So you're going to start by folding your thumb into the middle of your palm, and the wrist represents your spinal cord. The heel of the palm represents your brain stem. This is the oldest part of our brain that's responsible for breathing, digesting food, operations in the body that keep us alive. The limbic area is this tucked thumb, and it has connections both down and upward. This is where we create emotions, and as it relates to stress, this is the area of the brain that interprets threat and activates the fight or flight response. Sometimes it's called our reptilian brain because it is a pretty primitive system and a very reactive system. It's not very sophisticated in interpreting nuance of a stressful situation. So the same cascade of fight or flight responses may be activated in the face of a life-threatening stressor, as well as stress that could be associated with an argument, schoolwork, or even traffic. The fingers and fingernails represent the cortex and the prefrontal cortex. So this is where we really think of the human brain, things that are associated with interpreting the outside world via our senses, with mapping associations of thought, like learning. And most importantly, it has a capacity to regulate these subcortical functions like the limbic system. It's also involved in integrating our outer world experience with our inner world experience and brain function. So here's the interesting part about the brain. In a true immediate life-threatening stressor, we flip our lid and the reptilian brain takes the lead. This is good. We want this to happen. These parts of our brain rapidly activate the body for preparation for danger. And we don't want the cortical areas on board in the midst of an active life-threatening scenario because they slow us down. So the example I often use is if a saber-toothed tiger is charging toward you, you don't want to waste time having the thought of, is that a saber-toothed tiger that's running toward me? What should I do? That would delay and not bode well for our survival in the immediate moment. But because this system, again, is primitive, this cascade is activated at other times when there's any perceived threat or stressor. And in these instances, or even after the passing of a true immediate threat, we want to be able to bring the cortical functioning back online to regulate the brain. For those who are currently feeling stressed, it's likely that to some degree, your lid is flipped. And for students in particular, this brain state makes learning very difficult. So the brain functions that are associated, again, with human thought and learning live in the cortex. And when our lid is flipped, things like organizing thoughts and learning new information is offline. It's not accessible quite as readily. And this disintegrated brain can't focus very effectively and can't study well. When the limbic system is steering, attention may feel distracted, it may feel darty, because again, that part of the brain is fleeting and constantly scanning the environment for safety. People might notice difficulty with sustained attention, and concentration is negatively impacted. So many of us right now are experiencing true objective stress, and the human stress response may be warranted and makes sense right now. Even in this instance, it's helpful to understand this in this brain model and make efforts to integrate the brain. The fight or flight response in the human body is meant to be brief. It can be unhealthy for us to stay in this state chronically. So think of integration strategies as a life preserver in the ocean. The self-care and integration strategies can help you rest and get some temporary respite to bring your head above water and soothe for a bit before the body might tip back into a fight or flight response. In these spaces and when our lid is flipped, it's important to lean into self-compassion and understand what our limitations might be from a brain perspective. It might not be realistic to have the same expectations of our capacity for sustained focus that's needed to write a paper or for learning large new quantities of new information. With schoolwork, you might want to think about chunking, frequent, small, contained work sessions with a focus on a small amount of information and spacing those through the day. The pathway back to well-being from a brain perspective is integration. And our body has a natural resilience to restore this balance, but we can help that process along. So this model is portable. It's an idea and concept that you can take with you as a reminder. And if you feel you've flipped your lid, you can try some of the strategies that I'll talk about, but that we've also reviewed in other videos. So something like grounding, which is the use of our senses to explore what we see, taste, hear, touch, smell. Those are soothing to us, and they also bring our cortical functions back online because that's the part of the brain that integrates our sensory experiences. The sensory experience of even doing this brain model and using your hand is in itself a task that facilitates brain integration. Things like mindfulness and thought diffusion that we have other videos on facilitate integration because they're metacognitive processes that live in this cortical part of our brain. By thinking about our thoughts or thinking about our feelings, we're bringing that part of our brain back online. Restorative breathing practices, mindfulness, guided meditations, and self-compassionate self-talk soothe the arousal of the limbic system and send a message to that part of our brain that we're safe in the moment. So if you like what you've heard, I'd encourage you to take a look at the work of Dan Siegel. Info can be found on his website at www.drdansiegel.com. Stay tuned for more videos and tips from us at the Counseling Center, and visit our website for more resources on how to take care of yourself during this time. Although we are not physically on campus, we are here to support you remotely. For further information, students can always contact us at the Student Counseling Center by calling 410-337-6481. And to speak with a mental health counselor by phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Gouger students are invited to call our mental health line at 855-236-4278. Stay well and stay safe. We look forward to continuing to support you on your journey to well-being.